Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Castantino, your host for the Sincast. Now, recently, another rumor has come up with Spider-Man. We're getting close to beating a dead horse. So, hey, you know what? Let's have a dead horse. Beating a dead horse right here. Boom! Okay, so the newest thing here, basically, this is what we're at now. Sony pulled Spider-Man out of the MCU after the deal was over. It was done after Far From Home. He did his movies with Endgame, Infinity War, Homecoming, and of course Far From Home. So he that part of the contract's done. They had successes with Venom, which I have not seen. I might have to go. I might have to see that sooner or later. As much as I don't want to, because I am not a fan of Venom. But and Into the Spider-Verse, that one, as I've said before, I can't watch it. I've tried watching some reviews on it on YouTube, and it just gives me a raging headache. So, yeah, all I will say is I am not a fan of the Doc Ock, not because it's a woman. I'm not a fan because of the gelatinous looking. It's like, okay, you want me to take this woman, this Doc Ock, seriously when she has something that could easily be seen in any Spider-Man hentai parody? Just asking. So, but that was just my opinion when I saw the arms. So, anyway. So they had success with that. So they pulled. Disney wanted the original deal was Disney. The original deal was Disney and Marvel only got 5% of the box office gross. Because Sony only has the marketing for the movies. They don't have the merchandise and all that other stuff. That goes to Sony. That goes to Disney. That's 100% theirs. So, when they did this deal, Disney and Marvel only got 5% of that. Now, the rumor was they wanted to go halfies with Sony, which meant Sony would actually be losing a lot more money, because they're not getting merchandise, and they'd be giving up 50% of the ticket sales. None of it, as much as I am not a fan of Sony with Spider-Man, none of it makes sense. None of it makes sense for Sony. None of it's a thing for Sony to leave it in MCU. I mean, they're having successes with Spider-Man spin-offs with Venom. Like I said in the last Spider-Man video, if you're going to do it, go all out, I guess. But yeah, but then someone wrote an article about it. Apparently there was backlash, boycott Sony, hashtag boycott Sony, and all that other horse shit. And apparently Sony put out a statement explaining why they're not the bad guys. Which, the one thing I agree with the more popular, heavily more popular YouTubers like Mecha Random, Midnight's Edge, Doomcock, Clownfish TV, all of them, is that the only people who lose out in this is going to be the fans. Now, maybe Sony could make a great Spider-Man movie. It's possible, except for the fact they got that friggin' blubber butt Amy Pascal involved. Despite the fact that she's not even an employee of Sony, because her fucking production company is still involved. and with how what allegedly she is, how, and from, if the stories are anything to go by, she's a real piece of work. Jesus Christ. Basically, she'll never hire talented writers. She hired Kurtzman to do freaking amazing Spider-Man 1 or 2, maybe both of them, who knows. But Kurtzman's good for starting, much like his buddy Abrams is good for starting something but can't finish it. I'm sure, or the fact that Abrams got his wife pregnant was a shock to everyone. Anyway, so Sony basically said no and took him out, from what it sounded like. Now, this new rumor says that Disney may have come back with a new deal for 6 movies, and before that, the old deal was they wanted to go halfies and they wanted to have more control over the Spider-Man movies, which would have basically kicked Sony and all of its things out. Again, does not make good business sense for Sony because they're losing out more money. Marvel and Disney are already making out on the marketing. Sony gets none of that. They have to live off of the box office gross. So, and to be fair, I'm not sure how the marketing goes for movies made by Sony, directly by Sony. So, I'm not sure if, but from what it sounds like, Marvel gets even that stuff. So, but apparently Disney came up with a new deal, which I think I heard was a 70-30 cut, where Disney would get 30%. But again, here's my issue. Here's the issue. My biggest issue with everything. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I think that's how that goes. Now, if I'm Sony, if I'm running Sony, I'm looking at this. You're looking at Disney and Marvel already get a vast amount of money from merchandising. Okay? You only get box office gross, which means you only see any money if the movie makes enough to cover production costs and marketing. So the plan is basically, number is usually take the budget and times it by 2. How true that is, I'm not sure. I've also heard 2.5, but to which, again, so like I said, they already get all the merchandising. Spider-Man is a big merchandise thing. Would I try? Now, if I'm Sony, I'm looking at this like, you already get all the merchandise. You already, and from IPs that aren't directly made by Disney, let's look at Star Wars. You've made Star Wars almost unmarketable. The toys for the new movies aren't selling. The new movie looks like utter crap. I saw the poster, and it's like, Jesus flipping Christ. Palpatine looks like they just took Palpatine right off of the one of the animated shows, maybe even freaking in the Clone Wars or some shit. I mean, it looks like garbage. God, and of course, Kylo's freaking about to get pushed off a damn cliff. Kylo Ren, the final defeat and the ass kicking he probably should have gotten from his mom. But it doesn't make sense, you know. Any cut of the movie thing doesn't make sense. If it's over 10% in the total cut, it makes no sense to me because Disney and Marvel are making all of the money from the merchandise. If they're willing to like cut the merchandise back a little bit, I could see maybe sharing the load a little bit with them, but it makes no business sense to me. It really doesn't. Yeah. So if I'm Sony, unless Disney's offering me anything, if I'm promising them 30% of the box office take, I want 30% of the merchandise. But I doubt heavily that's going to happen because Disney's it's so much damn bullshit now. It's not even funny. But yeah. So as far as the thing that they're back, that's going to be back in the MCU, I really don't see why Sony would do it. Regardless, you know what they make. Oh look, they make better movies and all that shit. Well, Disney's going. This whole thing is basically comes down to Disney's going to lose. If they have to give a better deal to Sony to get Spider-Man back, they lose. They lose and Sony wins. If they lose Spider-Man, they lose because Spider-Man is the only thing left that the MCU has. What, you're going to have Captain Marvel? You're going to have Captain Marvel freaking be the go-to? You're going to have all these shows and, oh yeah, Lady Thor was the most popular her comic book. Yeah, fuck you, Feige. There's a reason she got canceled. She got canceled. One of the most popular lines got canceled. Captain Marvel constantly gets canceled. Frickin' all these comic books. There's a reason there's a rumor that Marvel and unfortunately even DC are probably on their last breaths. And it ain't because Lady Thor was so popular or Captain Marvel was so popular. No, it's because they failed. They failed. Your writers failed. Your freaking editors failed. Your the people up top failed. Sorry, Feige. Basically, end of the day, my opinion, Sony should, unless they're going to give Sony a bigger cut of a big cut in the merchandise, I don't see why Sony would do it. If the rumor's true, fine, great. You know, as I've said before, I don't like the fact that the Spider-Man is so freaking dependent on everything. I mean, if he had like a team like helping him out in the background, that'd be one thing. But like he needed Tony Stark to make his suit. He needed Nick Fury, I guess, is going to give him the Spidey armor. Which, fuck that thing. So, yeah, I would, my advice to Sony, unless you're getting a bigger cut of unless you're getting any kind of a cut in the merchandise, there's no reason to take this deal. There's no reason to freaking push with into other things. Personally, I have no faith in you guys. I have zero faith that you guys are capable of making anything good, especially when you're stuck with Pascal as the person running things over there. Unless you hire some writers that are worth a shit, unless you're willing to put the money in to directors who actually want to tell a story as opposed to make an artsy fartsy film. or push a fucking agenda. Thank Christ. I think the only thing Sony's got going for it right now is at least they haven't been, that I know of, other than, at least they got rid of Kurtzman, so he's off. He's back at CBS wrecking things over there. Yeah, they at least haven't gotten that bad robot stink. Now they just got Pascal and her freaking sandwiches of doom. Dead horse. This is going to be a dead horse. I will be... So, thank you all for watching. This was more of a ramble than anything. Like I said, no matter what happens, we'll just have to see where it goes. So, good night. We'll see you in the next video, everyone. Take care.